Good evening, everyone. So, welcome to the 10th class on current affairs class, questions and answer discussion. So, which month it will be? We have started from April 2022. Every Saturday we have been doing 30 questions from that month, 1 month every week. So, this has been January 2023. Till December we have already covered. So, before starting last week before the class I told you two things. What were they? To remind? Arrogantly you have to be positive about the exam, and secondly, when you are studying, so far we have been focusing on building the knowledge base. It's so much important you have that broader knowledge base, but it is becoming last 50 days of the exam. Here you must focus on solving the questions even with half knowledge, even with partial knowledge, application of whatever you have learned. Even some species is asked, you don't know exactly the characteristics of the species, but even with a very small partial knowledge you need to find the option. That should be your approach in solving MCQs, wherever it is, for the next 50 days. Knowledge, whatever you have learned, you have to revise it so that if something is coming from what you have already covered, you should not miss it out. For that you have, if you want to confidently answer those questions from which you have already covered the content, you should revise it 3 times, 4 times before the exam. Clear? And basically this is the time one thing which you should focus on, that is, don't divert your energies, even in negativity, even in anything. Like next 50 days, the only thing you should be doing is continuing sitting with the studies and sitting with revision and doing MCQs. Shut down all other activities, IPL hai, ya kuch bhi hai, where you are consuming more than 1 hour, 2 hour, or even you are consuming your mind. Like IPL, if you start watching next day kya match hai, then that thought process will go on. Anything that is continuously consuming your time, shut down all these. Friends se chai peene jana hai, kuch bhi hai. Main energy, every energy should focus as much on study as possible. That should be your priority for next 50 days. So let's start with today's affairs. So we'll follow the same format. This is the first question. Answer this as soon as possible. Okay. What is the answer? Answer D. दोनों सब बोल रहे D. B. First question, with reference to neem coated urea, consider the following statement. What all you know about urea fertilizer and neem coated urea? Tell me basic मोटा चीज, सब चीज के बारे में पता होना चाहिए. And even neem coated urea, it's not a new thing. So UPSC already asked a question on this. So what is purpose of fertilizer? Supplement nutrients. And what exactly is urea fertilizer? Nitrogen fertilizer, basically. You cannot say N2, but nitrogen based fertilizer. Around 46% of urea is nitrogen. Now, how exactly it works? Why we need this nitrogen, more nitrogen to be added? Because all living animals, including plants and animals, need proteins, and nitrogen is a major component of proteins. And every starch, everything has nitrogen component. That is a life element. Now nitrogen, if you look, atmospheric, which is the most abundant gas. Nitrogen is one of the most abundant gas. How much in the atmosphere is nitrogen? 78%. If 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen, why we should add more nitrogen to the soil? Nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen is N2. N2 is having N triple bond N. This is one of the strongest bonds. This is N2 act like an inert gas. So even any plants and animals cannot directly consume this atmospheric nitrogen. For this process, this atmospheric nitrogen has to be fixed, or it's called nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation means converting the atmospheric inert N2 nitrogen into NH4 plus ammonium ion, or some NOx ion also, nitrate ion also. Any of the ion component, if it is converted, then this can be consumed by the plants. Now this transferring process is called nitrogen fixation. Now who does this nitrogen fixation? Mostly bacteria. Bacteria will be there, or examples you can know. Rhizobia or as Azotobacter. Here also two categories are there. Which are they? Either free living bacteria or there is symbiotic relation with the plant roots. It will be living in the plant roots and supplementing the nitrogen nutrient into the plants. Now all this mechanism is going on. Now what is the issue? To increase the productivity, or if you are doing this cultivation on a continuous basis, how much nitrogen that can be fixed by the microorganism is very limited. So you need to supplement this. For this supplement, we add urea or any other fertilizer. Now urea is also something like this. Urea is not directly cannot be consumed by the plants. It has to be split into ammonium ion and bicarbonate ion. It's CO3 minus, something like that. Bicarbonate, it has to be split into ammonium and bicarbonate ion. This ammonium will be absorbed by plants, and this process is called, what the process is called? Hydrolysis. Even urea as itself cannot be consumed by the plants. This has to be broken down into ammonia and bicarbonate. Concept clear? All this, if any statement comes from this, you can answer. Now come back to this question. Now what this neem coated urea does? Why government introduced neem coated urea? Urea has been channelized into chemical processes, chemical industries instead of agriculture. So in India, you know, government is providing huge amount of subsidy for urea. Production cost is coming around 600, it is sold at 250 or something, 280 rupees. So all this, more than 50% of the cost is subsidized. So people are diverting from agriculture to industrial applications. To check this, government introduced neem coated urea. But that is not the only objective or only advantage benefit of neem coated urea. What else is there? Now what is the problem if you are adding urea? What happened? Okay. Yeah, we lost all what we have written. So what happened is, if urea is, Indian is applying urea. Now urea has to be broken down into NH4 plus bicarbonates. Now this will be absorbed by the plants. This process is called hydrolysis. Now what happened? What is the issue with application of urea? Actually, plants need urea at different stages of life. Like it has to be continuous. But fertilizer, you cannot come and give fertilizer every day. So we put so much amount of fertilizer in the soil so that throughout the season there will be enough nutrient in the soil. Now what happened with this is, this urea will suddenly get hydrolyzed into ammonium ions. These ammonium ions are, these are ions which are highly reactive. If there is more water present in the soil, then this ammonium atom and bicarbonate atom get leached away. It flows with the water. Or in other case, if this ammonium can also be converted into atmospheric ammonia, NH3. This, if it is converted into NH3, it becomes a gas and flow away from the paddy fields and all. It will not be absorbed by the plants. So these two are different ways of losses of whatever nitrogen you have added into the soil. Now what neem coated urea does is, it slows down the hydrolysis process. If no neem is there, it will convert into ammonium readily. If neem coated urea is there, this process will become slow. Now this process becomes slow means the amount of ammonium that is present for loss as converted into gas form or water leaching, all these fraction become very less. So what is the advantage of the plants can absorb more ammonia compared to original ammonia which they have been applying. Now come back, if you know this basic story, now come back to the question. It speeds up the process of nitrogen release from urea. It is not speeds up, it slows down. This is a conceptual question. You need to have a basic understanding of how the fertilizer is working. So this statement is incorrect. Two options already eliminated. Nitrogen use efficiency of neem coated urea is higher than normal urea. Now second statement, we already seen that, otherwise there will be high level of losses. Now losses are eliminated. That means plants will have higher efficiency, more nitrogen will be used by the plants. Secondly, what you have to think here is, even if you don't know so much of the basics, this is a new technology or something new that has been introduced into urea. Compared to normal urea, this is something new that is being introduced by the government. If something is new introduced by the government, efficiency will always be higher, or any statement should have more beneficial to this. If efficiency is lower, there is less chance it will be introduced at the first place. So this also has a positive connotation in this statement. So from both aspects, this is correct. It leads to increase in nitrogen fixation by soil microorganisms. Actually, soil microorganism actually fixes the nitrogen. That neem coated urea or application of urea doesn't actually impact any of the soil microorganism. They will be doing its own natural process of nitrogen fixation. There is exactly no relation between urea or neem coated urea with the natural process that is going on. So this statement is also wrong. What is the answer here? 2 only is the correct answer. Go ahead. Answer the second question first. We did this question in the last class. Indian skimmer, not question, the bird in the species class. हो गया क्या आंसर है? ए और कुछ? With reference to, let's see, with reference to Indian skimmer, it's a bird species. It's make your life little easier. Consider the following statement. Now, Indian skimmer, there is Indian in this. So there is high chance this may be a bird that is limited to Indian subcontinent or Southeast Asia, or have something more relation with India. Most of its lifetime may be spent in India. So there is high chance it's such an animal. Now it is a bird species. Consider its range is limited to peninsular India only. Now this is saying this bird is an endemic species. Its range is limited to peninsular India only. In environment last class, species class, we have already discussed where we expect species to be endemic. What is the ecosystem that is required for any species to be endemic? It will only there in those ecosystem which is not available in any other part of the world, like Shola forest in Western Ghats, mountain forest at high altitude, 1500 to 2500 meter high altitude. So this kind of ecosystem is not available in most of the part of the world. So there is high chance of endemism in Western Ghats. Similarly, what you see is, we discussed about Northeast India. What is specialty of Northeast India? From alpine to tropical evergreen forest. Whatever ecosystem you take in between those, everything is there available in the Northeast India. And there is so much of areas of ecotones between different ecosystems. So this also lead to high amount of endemism in northeast India. Third region of India में where there is high level of endemism, where it is Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Why there? Mostly because it is a like separated islands mechanism, and it has been a volcanic island that has been there for throughout the evolution of Indian subcontinent. So due to this, there is also high level of endemism in Andaman. These are three hotspots where you see most of the endemic species in India. Now, if a species, bird species, that has to be peninsular India only, the chance is very less. Why? If it can fly, if it is in peninsular India, it can easily reach coastal India. It can easily reach Gangetic Plains. These areas have very similar ecosystems. Very difficult a bird species to have endemism only in peninsular India. More chance, even if you don't know the answer, this option is incorrect. Second, it has a migratory pathway covering more than 9,000 kilometers. One thing that's tracked, there is a data. So there I will be very cautious in taking these options right. Secondly, it's saying 9,000 kilometers. It's a very huge distance. Now only very few species like Siberian crane or Amur falcon, only very few birds have such a huge range of 9,000 kilometers. And that birds we already see, we already read in this. If your preparation is good, you should always remember about the Siberian crane, Amur falcon and all these animals, all these birds. And Indian skimmer is not that much of famous, that doesn't figure in this big migratory species. And there is data also. So even if I don't know, high chance this is a wrong statement. Now come to a third statement. Chambal riverine ecosystem. What is speciality of Chambal riverine ecosystem? If you analyze PYQs correctly, there was a Gharial question. Gharial, all these when you can see in the natural ecosystem, and the Chambayan was the answer. Which year it came? 2017, I guess. 17, 18, 17. Yeah. So why it is speciality of Chambal ecosystem? Where exactly is Chambal? Chambal river is a tributary of Yamuna river. Now what is speciality of it? It flows from Vindhya ranges from Madhya Pradesh, this region through Rajasthan, then it through UP, and it is touching the Yamuna river. Now what is speciality of the pathway? Here we have a Thar desert. Vindhyan region means it's a peninsular part of the country. Then we have Thar desert, then it is going to Gangetic Plains. So it is Ranthambore, it is going from different types of multiple levels of biosphere it is passing through. That is one reason. Secondly, if you look at the other rivers, Ganga river, what is the issue with Ganga river? It is world's one of the most polluted river. All other rivers in India, if you look, it will be polluted. Mostly big cities are there, all the rivers along the big cities are polluted. Now what is good thing about Champal is passing through an area of least economic development. Champal area is accused or like criticized to be one of the least economic development area. Now what is the good side of that is Chambal river is one of the few rivers in India that still have very clean waters. It is not polluted as compared to all other major rivers in the country. Now due to these two reasons, the biodiversity you find that again it gone. Now what is the issue? क्या हो रहा है? System hang हो रहा है. Yeah, Chambal river system, it has huge number of biodiversity. If you know, the gharial species is also a very much hotspot of birds, not just Indian skimmer, lot of other birds also, it's a very much hotspot. Now this option, if you don't know, you can still take it as a correct option, third one. Now from this logical or guess, or you can say scientific approach to this question, most probable answer is, it should be 3 only. So you are in material, it should be 3 only, right? So answer is C, that is 3 only, not 2 only. Make this correction. Something is wrong. Calling. Okay ना streaming. Okay होगा streaming off किया ना. Okay okay. ये कट करना ये. Start करें. Yeah. So welcome back. Answer the third question. Okay. Tell me what is the answer? B. With reference to green crackers recently seen in news, which of the following statements is or are correct? They are eco-friendly crackers that emits no pollution, no pollutants. I think cracker means some kind of chemicals will be burnt. Now, if some kind of chemicals will be burnt, pollutants should be there. Even though the intensity of pollution may be less, or the greenhouse gas effect, other effect, health effects of this pollutant may be less in green crackers, but there should be some level of pollutants that is emitted. The first statement is having an extreme option, that is cannot be right. They contain barium and magnesium nitrates as an alternative to polluting chemicals. Have you read any news regarding this? These all are directly taken from the newspapers. Which are in normal crackers, the most dangerous pollutants are magnesium nitrates and barium nitrates. These are causing the health issues, these are causing the environmental issues. So this has to be the green crackers or eco-friendly crackers. These has been introduced to remove this barium and magnesium. Instead of barium and magnesium, you introduce aluminium, you introduce copper and other lesser safer elements instead of these. This has to be removed. So this statement is absolutely wrong statement. Swas, Star and Safel. These are three brands of eco-friendly or green crackers that has been introduced by, who introduced this? National Environment and Engineering Research Institute, NEERI under CSIR. So they introduced three different brands of eco-friendly crackers and the name is Swas, Star and Safel. So this is a correct option. The answer here is B, that is 3 only. Answer fourth question first. Okay, क्या आंसर है? PM Gati Shakti we discussed in detail in the economic class. What is answer here? D. What are you saying? B. With reference to PM Gati Shakti, consider the following statement. Let's understand something. We have 4 different infrastructure development projects that is going on. You should have absolute clarity on what is all these schemes, what is the purpose of this, what is the basic concepts regarding all of this. The first one is National Infrastructure Pipeline. What it envisages? It envisages rupees 111 lakh crore investment in infrastructure over next 5-6 years. Now, how this investment money is coming from? 39% by center, 39% by state, and 22% by private sector. Now, if this much huge amount of money has to be mobilized for infrastructure development, simply putting by state and center is not enough. There should be some innovative mechanisms. For that innovative mechanism, government has came up with National Asset Monetization Scheme or Asset Monetization Pipeline. What exactly it envisages? Brownfield projects. Brownfield project means any infrastructure projects that are already being made. These projects will be given to private sector for running, for maintenance and running for next 20 years, 30 years. And while giving this right to maintain and take revenue from this infrastructure, government will take lump sum amount from this private sector. And this lump sum amount will be invested for National Infrastructure Pipeline or developing the XYZ infrastructure, new infrastructure, greenfield infrastructure in the country. This is asset monetization. The good thing is there is no actual transfer of asset or transfer of ownership from government to private sector. Only the maintenance for a set number of years that is given to the private sector. Third, which is the scheme, that is PM Gati Shakti. Now, why this is? Even we introduced a new scheme to mobilize more money into infrastructure, then we find a mechanism to raise the fund. Even after this is happening, what is happening in the country is different ministries are working independently. Road ministry is building the roads, railway ministry is building totally different concept it is working on. Similarly, port industry, inland waterways are working in different way. So there is no coordination among these ministries. So if there is coordination among the ministries, faster clearances can happen, better resource management can happen. So lot of internal processes can be optimized. To optimize this, we have created a centralized platform for management or governance of infrastructure projects, and that is PM Gati Shakti. And the fourth one is National Logistic Policy 2022. This has, what is the objective of this? We have a high logistic cost of 14% GDP. We need to reduce this to 8 to 9% of GDP. So with this objective, in next by 2025, 30, I think, this scheme, National Logistic Policy, has been envisaged. So these 4 parallel infrastructure projects has been going on in the recent past. Now this exact question is on PM Gati Shakti. It is a digital platform, correct, to facilitate asset monetization in a transparent way. It is absolutely a wrong option. It has no direct connection with asset monetization. What money is raised, asset monetization is about raising the fund for infrastructure projects. PM Gati Shakti means internal ministry के internal में processes आपको streamline करना है. It started with 16 ministries. Now more than 16 ministries, other departments are also joining part of it. So now different ministries are coming together. Second statement, this is a wrong statement. This is a basic conceptual statement. If you know about what exactly 4 infrastructure schemes are, you will not make this mistake. Only central government ministries are part of this project. This has a conceptual issues in this statement. One issue is if the question is framed from federal perspective, only central government ministries are part of it. It's absolutely correct. No state government is part of this. No state ministries are part of this. Second is only ministries are not part of it. Some departments are also part of it. So that will give some confusion or subjectivity to the interpretation of this statement. But in federal perspective, it is framed in the most feasible way. Only central government ministries are only part of this PM Gati Shakti. No state government is under the part of Gati Shakti. So we are taking this as correct statement. Here correct option is B, that is 2 only. All these 4 infrastructure projects we discussed in the economic class. Even if you don't watch the class, you should go and search this and know absolute idea about every one of these. Go ahead, answer the 5th question first. Okay. Answer D. With reference to zero defect, zero effect. Consider the following statement. Zero defect means what all you know about this scheme? Zero defect means what? High reliability should be there. Whichever product is being produced, there should not be wastage as well as there should not be high reliability on the XYZ characteristics of the project. Zero effect means what? Mostly it is no wastage and no environmental effects. Even if it is not very less environmental effects, that is the objective of the scheme. And which XYZ industry we are talking about? This is introduced to improve characteristics of Indian MSMEs. Export characteristics of MSMEs is one of the primary objective of zero defect, zero effect. This much of story you should be aware of. Now try to attempt this question. It aims to manufacture goods in the country with zero defects and to ensure goods have zero effect on environment. That is like what is written in the statement, that exactly is written here. There is no confusing XYZ in this. Absolutely right statement. The Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS, has been appointed as National Monitoring and Implementing Unit, NMU, for implementation of XYZ schemes. Now BIS, wherever you see a specific department, a specific organization, specific ministry, you should be cautious. There is high chance this can be a wrong statement. Now what BIS does? Bureau of Indian Standards is associated with weights. It's associated with gold standard 916, purity of metals. This is the area where BIS is working. Now here we are talking about something that is improving the performance of industries. This is more associated with Ministry of Commerce. Something for promotion of manufacturing sector, something industrial sector this is focusing on. Why BIS is acting as a standards body, standardization body in weights, different measures. This is the objective of, there is a mismatch in what is the objective of BIS and what is the objective of this zero effect, zero defect scheme. And we know if there is a specific organization in the statement, there is high chance it can be wrong. So this is a wrong statement. Not correct is asked. So 2 only, B is the correct answer. Now which exact organization is the monitoring and implementing body? That is Quality Council of India. QCI is the monitoring and implementing body for zero defect and zero effect scheme. Is BIS a statutory body? BIS is a statutory body under the BIS Act. Is QCI a statutory body? QCS is a registered under Societies Act. And what is specialty of this is there is government representation from government as well as private. Both these stakeholders come together and try to implement standard for MSMEs and manufacturing industries. So this is the correct answer, correct organization here. 2 only is the correct answer. Answer the 6th question first. If you're watching online, you can comment your answers. Okay. What is the answer? क्या बोल रहा है? Any other? With reference to National Green Hydrogen Mission. What is green hydrogen? What is hydrogen? What is speciality of hydrogen? This is a fuel with highest calorific value. Now, what is difference between hydrogen and other fuel like petrol or diesel? Petrol and diesel are readily available in the nature. You dig the XYZ potential areas and take it out and use it. So these are readily available, but hydrogen is not readily available. Hydrogen is available as H2O. You do electrolysis. Electrolysis you do, then you split oxygen and hydrogen, you get hydrogen. This, or you do CH4. This can also be breakdown into hydrogen. If the energy that is consumed will be call karo. क्या करें? पोस्ट करो मैं पहले. Yeah. So what we were discussing, hydrogen is not readily available in the nature. It is available as in different compounds, either as water H2O or as, what is this? Methane. So if you split, give this, and in any of the splitting process, you have to give so much amount of energy. If this energy is coming from renewable energy and water is used to split, this hydrogen we call it as green hydrogen. If ammonium methane is used, all good. If methane is used and we are producing, giving energy and producing the hydrogen, this we call it as gray hydrogen. In any case, hydrogen is not readily available. It acts as a carrier of energy. You have to give some energy at some place. Then you do the combustion of hydrogen, and where you required in IC engine or in other sectors, then you use the hydrogen. So you have to give so much of energy in the first place. This much story you should know. It aims to develop green hydrogen production capacity of at least 50 million metric tons per annum by 2030. One thing is very specific data. So you should be very cautious until unless you exactly know this is correct. You should take it as right. Otherwise, there is huge chance it can be wrong. Secondly, it will fund domestic manufacturing of electrolyzers to produce green hydrogen. Now, electrolyzers is equipment used to split the water H2O into hydrogen and oxygen. Now, this is the most costliest component in this electrolysis process or in the production of green hydrogen. Now, electrolysis manufacturing, if this is being developed, then whole this production of green hydrogen become very easy. This is absolutely a right statement. Now, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. If you talk about this ministry, what exactly this ministry is associated with? It is, and no, this ministry is associated more with conservation of energy projects, not energy, conservation of species, conservation of national parks or tiger reserve. These are the ambit of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Here we are talking about a new industry of, it is more about an industrial topic, that is green hydrogen. So this is associated with MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. This is wrong statement. We are asked correct. Only second statement is correct, that C is the correct answer. Here correct answer is 5 metric million tons per annum by 2030. That is the target of this XYZ National Green Hydrogen Mission Scheme. Go ahead. Answer the 7th question first. We have done question on this before also, right? One nation, one fertilizer scheme. Okay, what is answer? D. Consider the following statement with reference to one nation, one fertilizer scheme. What do you know about this scheme? What all you know? It is related to fertilizers. What government is doing when fertilizer is being, there should be 85% of the fertilizer bag should have same name and logo as recommended by the government. So what same name will do? It will standardize the different types of fertilizers that is available in the country. Same logo means it's similar objectivities. It aims to reduce logistic cost involved in transportation of fertilizer. Standardization is happening, then logistic cost, it will have an impact. So it objectivity, it will reduce logistic cost. More like a correct statement. It is implemented under Ministry of Agriculture. Now we already know, if you have gone through MCQs enough, you have already know that there is a Ministry of Fertilizers and Chemicals. There is a Ministry of Fertilizers and Chemicals. If there is a dedicated Ministry for Fertilizers and Chemicals, now we obviously cannot be Ministry of Agriculture. So this is a wrong statement. This applies to both public and private sector. This is a factual knowledge you should aware of. This is correct statement. Second is wrong statement. You already cut two options, one only and 1 and 3 is there. It is available, applicable both to public as well as private sector. Okay. Go ahead, answer the, so this is the logo which you can see here. There is no logo. These are different 3 types of name you should place it on the fertilizer bags. Bharat Urea, Bharat DAP and Bharat MOP. No other exact name should be there. Now answer the 8th question first. Okay, tell me what is answer. Okay, D. Any other? D. It's a very quite tough question for some reasons. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Kendras. Where you get this question from? There has been mention of this in recent budget also. There has been mention of this in recent agricultural reforms also. Prime Minister has announced that 600 Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Kendras will be open throughout the country. What this Kendras does? This will give information, inputs required for agriculture to farmers in throughout the country in local language, whatever the way it suits the farmers, it will give what in depending on their requirement. Scheme is implemented under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Throughout the other questions, what we have seen is those ministry there, either there will be another ministry that is totally more aligned with the objective of the schemes. Now, with the if you look at the objective of the scheme, information on this, information on inputs of agriculture, all these are so much associated with Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Still, this is a wrong option. Exactly, this is also implemented by Ministry of Fertilizers and Chemicals. First statement is wrong. They act as a retail fertilizer shops in the country and also provide access to seeds. Information as well as inputs in agriculture is the objective of the scheme. Second is very correct statement. They will conduct soil testing and provide useful information about farming techniques to the farmers. This is also come under certain kinds of inputs, soil testing and whichever requirement is there. So what will be our answer here? C, 2 and 3 only will be the correct statement. Now this is what PM Samriddhi Kendras does. Provide information regarding various government schemes, ensure regular capacity building of retailers at block and district level. 12 crore farmers to be benefited out of this. So this is Prime Minister inaugurates 600 Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Yojana. You can read here that Prime Minister inaugurated this under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. It's very difficult to relate this ministry by looking at the objective of the scheme. Fertilizer shops you can associate with this, then it is correct. It's very difficult to predict if you don't know. That's the difficulty of that question. Firstly, answer the 9th question. Good evening, sir. Comment error. It's back. Okay, what is the answer? A. It's 9th question, right? With reference to Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, consider the following statements. So, what is the basic information you need to solve this answer? 3 different banks you should know everything about. Usually question come on regular basis. Which 3 banks? One is this Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. BRICS Bank का नाम क्या है? New Development Bank and Asian Development Bank. ADB, Asian Development Bank, New Development Bank and AAB. What is the primary objectives of this? This was, all these are multilateral banks. This is a bank from 1960s. Now 1960s, who established this? This act in line with like Bretton Woods institutions. And what is the Bretton Woods institutions characteristics? Mostly Western countries or countries in favor of Western grouping will be the major shareholder. Who are the shareholder, highest shareholder in this? USA as well as Japan. And there will be shareholding based voting system. Who has highest number, who put highest number of capital, he will have higher shareholding, and in every decision he have higher voting power. So he in this bank will be operating on those characteristics. And basic objective of this bank will be economic development, something you relate with the World Bank like characteristics. Now the second bank is New Development Bank. This is established by BRICS countries. Now BRICS countries, when they, what BRICS countries oppose in this Western or Bretton Woods institutions? Shareholding. What BRICS countries demand is this shareholding phenomena or this shareholding formula that is existing in Bretton Woods institution. This represent 1950s global economic system. Today the world has changed too much. China is the second largest economy, India is the fifth largest economy. So there should be more voting power, there should be more decision making power that is allotted to developing countries. So this bank is one bank that works on similar lines. When it was created, all 5 countries have same share allocated and same number of voting powers. Now Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, this is primarily focusing on infrastructure development, and this is led by China. This is a bank that is led by China. So who will be having highest shareholding? China itself will be having highest shareholding. This basic funda you should know. If you want to know more, this is the more detailed comparison of these 3 banks. Asian Development Bank, established in 1966, Manila, Philippines is the headquarters. 141 billion is this. 68 members are there. 49 members from Asia Pacific. Members not from Asia Pacific, like USA is also a part of this Asia Development Bank. It's not required to be in Asia Pacific range. Economic growth, poverty reduction, this is the objective. Highest shareholding is by USA and Japan. New Development Bank or the BRICS Bank. 2004 is the establishment. Shanghai, China is the headquarters of the bank. 100 billion capital was it started. Now members is something that has changed recently. This you should be very cautious about. 4 countries have been recently added into this. Earlier there was 5 BRICS countries only. Now 4 more countries: Bangladesh, Egypt, UAE and Uruguay. Even Uruguay is a part of this. This is something which you may not normally expect. So these 4 countries are added into the membership of New Development Bank. But the shareholding is now allocated like this. All the 5 members, BRICS members, have equal shareholding, while the new members have a very small shareholding of 1 point some percent is only allocated to these members. Membership open to all members of United Nations. Sustainable development, BRICS countries development, these are the primary objective of this. Now Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, established in 2016. Beijing, China is the headquarters. 100 billion, same amount of capital. Not 5 members are there. Membership is open to all World Bank and ADB members. Infrastructure development is the objective, and China is the largest stakeholder. From all these banks, who takes the largest number of loans? All these banks, India takes the huge amount of loans. Now this much basics, no, these are pure basics you should be aware of before going into the exam. Now come to answer this question. AIB is a multilateral development bank, correct, with a capital of 100 billion. Both this New Development Bank and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank has same number of startup capital, that is 100 billion. Very correct statement, despite having a very specific data. This option has very specific data. You cannot go with the intention, preconceived intention that if data is there, I take it wrong, or ministry name is there, I take it wrong. This is having a data, still it is wrong. India is the second largest shareholder in this. This is a bank that is led by China. Now a bank led by China, and there is 100 plus members. If 100 plus members share is allocated in this, a bank that is led by a developing country, that means in most cases India can have second largest priority in this bank. India is the second largest shareholder in AIB is a correct statement. AIB does not lend to members outside Asia. This is not correct. AIB primarily lends to members within Asia, but there is nothing hard and fast rule that AIB does not lend to any other members outside the Asia. And 100 plus members is there. So if you only take members from the Asia, this is a too big number to satisfy. So what is the correct answer here? 1 and 2 is the correct. A is the correct answer. If you want to take pic or screenshot, you can take. Okay. Answer the 10th question first. Quite easy question it is. So what the question is about? Reverse transposition in IMF. When were this was in discussion? Recently, regarding Sri Lanka crisis happened, this was in discussion. IMF was coming out with some reform plans. Now, what is the other thing? Suppose if you don't know what exactly is the reverse transposition, how to approach, what are some clues from these options you can get? See the first option. It is a foreign currency. It is the foreign currency amounts that a member country can draw from IMF with agreeing to implementing economic reforms. You implement the reforms like in Sri Lanka cases, IMF came up with some packages. Sri Lanka was not completely ready to accept this. We will give you the money for addressing the balance of payment crisis, but implement the XYZ reforms. These reforms will be mostly related to opening of industries, opening of economy, promotion of capital convertibility in the country. All this will be the basic focus of this. So this is the first statement. Now come to second statement. It is a total liability of monetary authority of central bank of the country. Reverse transposition, at least if you have read in the economic book, this is something related to IMF. It cannot be related to central bank. Very less chance this can be correct. It is the proportion of money that a banks keep with themselves as reserve requirement. This is also related to money supply and all this, monetary policy and all this. If reverse tranche is related to IMF, that much you can remember, these two options get eliminated. Now come to the D option. It is the foreign currency amounts that a member country may withdraw from IMF without agreeing to any conditions. Now answer this, you require some of the basic knowledge about what is reverse transposition. Before that, in many options, if you get two statements like this, these statements are like corollary. One is opposite of the other. Here it is saying IMF will give you the money but implement reforms. Here it is saying IMF will give you the money but you don't have to do any reforms. There is no preconditions associated with this. So if such an option, opposite contrasting option, two options are there, most probable case any of this will be the option. Not just in this question, even if you don't know two opposite side of options you are finding it, then most probable case any of these will be the correct answer in this. Now here, what exactly is reverse transposition? Tell me some basics of this. If how a country is given membership in IMF, every country has to come with some capital and give this to IMF. This capital, a part of this capital will go to reverse transposition. This much money is the country which put in the IMF. Now, this money, this country withdraw whenever we want. If we put more money in the IMF, what will happen? What is the benefit for the country? There will be more money it can withdraw at the time of a balance of payment crisis. Other advantage the country get it, credit rating agencies will give better rating to the country if it has more number of reverse transposition. So this is the money, a part of the money which a country, when joining IMF, they paid the fee, and a part of this will be kept as reverse transposition. Now if you are withdrawing this reverse transposition, there is no need of agreeing to any kind of preconditions. The money can go and withdraw without any precondition. It is easily available now. If a country is just moving in the initial phase of going into balance of payment crisis, country can use reverse transposition. But even if after using this to some extent the country cannot solve the issue, then there come the IMF deals. Then the IMF will come with, we will give more money, and this money will have interest rate, this money will have reform conditions, everything. So in Sri Lanka case, both this was going on. Exact answer here is D, not A. Okay, go ahead, answer the 11th question first. Okay. This is question number. Yeah, answer the question number 12. This is new question, right? Why you are not doing 11? This we already discussed too much. With consider the following statement regarding new development bank. It is a multilateral development bank established by BRICS countries. Very much correct. India is the second largest shareholder. Wrong statement because all the BRICS countries have same number of shareholding. 9 members are there, out of the 5 members have same number of shareholding. So India, China, South Africa, who else? Russia, Brazil. All these 5 countries have same number of paid up capital. So this is a wrong statement. Here answer is A. Very easy question. Answer the 12th question first. ये भी हो गया. बताओ क्या आंसर है इधर. This question is discussing about IPR agreements. 3 agreements are given: Paris Convention, Nice Agreement, and Berne Convention. And which of this is correct, or how many number of pairs of these are correctly matched? That is being asked. So how to answer this question? What would be the basic approach? Very specific question, very factual information. You should know. One way to learn is list down all the conventions associated with IPR protection. We will have a very brief discussion on this. First one is Paris Convention for Protection of Industrial Property. This was established in 1883, one of the oldest convention on IPR protection. What is the most basic criteria that is evolved out of this, that we are still in use? That is principle of, batao, principle of national treatment. That came out of the first convention, that is Paris Convention of 1883. And what does it mean by principle of national treatment? If a foreigner coming to India and applying for a patent, if an Indian is also applying for a patent, both these people should be considered equally. There should not be any preferential treatment for the residential people or citizens based on citizenship. Everyone should be treated equally for giving patents, and this copyright and all these kind of intellectual property things. Everyone should be treated equal. This is still we are following. This is even upholded in the TRIPS agreement, WTO agreements in the recent times. Second is Berne Convention for protection of literary and artistic works, which is the principle that evolved out of this principle of automatic protection. What does it mean? If an artistic work is being produced, even you doesn't apply for a patent, you still have the right over your artistic works, or something you written books or something. If you have even if you don't apply for a formal patent, you should have the right to have this patency of the whichever artistic works you have produced. Now rest of the agreements, this much you should know that this agreement is related to IPR. So much of detailing is not required. Madrid agreement concerning IPR marks, that is on trademarks basically. Nice agreement, that is on classification of goods and services based on registration of trademarks. Around 56 classification has been done under this. Patent Cooperation Treaty of 1970, it harmonizes different processes associated for application of the patent, granting of the patent, etc. Budapest Treaty on International Recognition of Deposit. This is for microorganisms. For the patents in case of microorganism, the Budapest Treaty is applicable. Trademark Law Treaty of 1994. 1990s, what is the major change in this happened? Coming of WTO. Then this TRIPS agreement, everything came into existence. Now, World Intellectual Property WIPO Copyright Treaty of 1996. Here, at least know the Hague Agreement that is associated with registration of industrial designs. Marrakesh Treaty, this is quite important. It is associated with relaxing like book or reading material, relaxing IPR related to this for blind people or visually impaired people. For these people, this IPR rights should not be applicable. Somebody is making a book for these visually impaired people, IPR law should be relaxed or not applicable. That is Marrakesh Treaty, and India was one of the first countries to sign the treaty. Singapore Treaty on Law of Trademarks and Beijing Treaty on Audiovisual Performance. All these are treaty that is somewhere or other related to intellectual property. At least the name you should be aware of, and few principles, as well as a recent treaty, what is the objective of it. Marrakesh Treaty is the latest treaty, that's why we are learning the objective of this. Otherwise, just know the what is it is associated with IPR in somehow. Now, what you know in little bit more detail is the TRIPS agreement, trade related aspects of intellectual property rights, TRIPS agreement. Does India follow TRIPS agreement principles? Very much India follow. It's an international treaty that sets out minimum standards. That's very much important in framing of statements for protection and enforcement of intellectual IPR rights among the World Trade Organization countries. In 1990s, it came into existence. At least provide 20 years of patent right to for any new invention. This you can see in case of, where is it most controversial? In case of drugs or new medicine that is being implemented. Now, what is India's concern in this? After 20 years, Indian generic companies will be very active to produce the generic version of this. They will be waiting for the 20 years to end. And what these major companies will do? They will come with some slight change will make. Like there will not be any evergreening of patent they try to do. Evergreening of patent means there will not be any substantial change in the drug or its usability, but they will make some small very minute changes and apply for the patent again, try to extend this 20 years. Now what Indian government does is, Indian government under section 3D of Indian IPR Act doesn't allow evergreening of drugs. If there is a substantial change in quality or usability, applicability of the new drug, then only the patent can be extended beyond 20 years. Now the scope covers patents, trademarks, copyright, industrial design, trade secrets, everything. Principle of national treatment is applicable here also. Enforcement mechanism, dispute resolution, everything is provided. What is compulsory licensing? Suppose a new medicine is being discovered. Suppose for COVID or some big pandemic is happening, a new medicine is being discovered. Now, if this medicine is being very high royalty is being charged on this make the medicine non affordable for poor people. So what government can do? Government can come and take over the whatever the intellectual property right of this material drug is. Then government can order government, private or public companies to produce these drugs, and government will decide what royalty should be paid to the inventor of this. This royalty will not be set by the inventor. Government can decide what royalty should be given to the. This is compulsory licensing. Where it was done? In HIV drugs. India was one of the major exporter of HIV drugs into Africa. Now here many African countries have done this HIV compulsory licensing of this. Exceptions to patentability, inventions that are contrary to public order or morality. Like you cannot go and make a stone pelting machine against army or against police. You made a very good stone pelting machine and you cannot apply patent for this. Why? Because that is against public morality. That is against not morally right thing to do. So you cannot apply for this. So these are basic provisions. So this is very much equivalent to what is the provisions of Indian IPR Act. If any question you are getting from Indian IPR Act, you should think on these lines. Principles and basic understanding will not change. Most of our IPR Act is taken from the TRIPS agreement of WTO itself. One more thing which I need to add here is TRIPS and TRIPS Plus. What is the difference? TRIPS is a minimum standards. It is decided by WTO. But TRIPS Plus is like USA and other countries, advanced countries, they are not happy with the TRIPS. It has provisions for compulsory licensing. So they are not too much happy with it. They want to make the patent possession more stringent. For this we have TRIPS Plus. So this come into picture when bilateral and regional agreements. In RCEP, if you have followed, RCEP has TRIPS plus standards. RCEP was standing for TRIPS plus standards. India was not too much favor of increasing the patent regime. Then it has limited flexibility, but it does include flexibilities in its ambit. Protects public health. Here more focus is on protecting the intellectual property right. Provides baseline of IP. You can read the basic things from here. So this much of basic info if you have, this is a very factual question. Here all these statements are correct. Paris Agreement is related to protection of intellectual property. NICE Agreement is related to classification of goods and services for registering trademarks and services. Berne Convention is related to protection of literary and artistic works. Answer is C, all three pairs are correct. Go fast and answer the 13th question. We have discussed all these missions in the science center class also. Tell me what is answer. A. Consider the following statements. Consider the following. 3 missions name is given. Which of the following is or are lunar missions? Like moon missions. Now Artemis 1 mission. What is Artemis 1 mission? Artemis mission is objective of using moon as a base for greater excavations. First we are going into moon, then making a launch pad and all this base here, then use this as a launch pad to go to Venus or Mars or any other. That is a long-term objective for 3-4 decades project is Artemis mission. Artemis 1 mission is we are going only into the moon. No, the extra components are not a part of this. So this is a lunar mission. Lucy mission, what it is? Lucy mission not related to Mars, it is related to Trojans. This is a NASA mission to Trojans. What exactly is Trojans? In discussing the Aditya L1 mission, we speak about where it is placed, Lagrange points. What is speciality of Lagrange points? If any object is placed on that, then the centrifugal force of the Earth and the Sun or two celestial bodies, this will be enough to keep that XYZ body in that orbit or in that position without giving any extra fuel. This we discussed in the context of Aditya L1 mission. Now here, if Jupiter is there, Jupiter has huge gravity compared to all other objects. If Jupiter and Sun is there, there will be Lagrange point between this. And at this Lagrange point, if asteroids are kept on this, these asteroids will keep on rotating along with the Jupiter in its orbit. So these are called Trojans. So Lucy mission is a mission to study the asteroids and Trojans. Hakuto R mission. This is a lunar mission of which country? Japan. Japan's first lunar mission is called Hakuto R mission. So 1 and 3 is the correct answer here, C. Move fast, answer the 14th question. Tell me answer. B. Any other? बताओ, नहीं पता फिर भी सेलेक्ट करो कुछ. Consider the following statement about solid lipid nanoparticles. So what you can think of this? Lipid is there. Lipid means something related to fat. So some kind of bio XYZ is associated with this. Nanoparticles is there. So you can see that some kind of new technology will be associated with this. That much you can guess from this, even if you don't know exact information. SLN based drug delivery system are highly prone to biotoxicity. Here I already told you in one before question also. What is biotoxicity? Bio-based toxicity. If suppose a new vaccine is being injected, these vaccine components are acting as a toxic or acting as a element that destroys the human cells or human organs. Such elements we call it as biotoxic elements. Now this is a bad thing. Having biotoxicity for new drug or new chemicals, if nanoparticles also, it is quite a bad thing. Now if it is a new technology that is in news and it is saying that this new technology increases the biotoxicity, chances are very less. Because new technology, it will improve the performance of the new drug that is being discovered or new fatty acids, whatever it is discovered coming into bringing into the table, it improves the performance of this. So SLN based drug discovery system is less prone to biotoxicity. I might be more intended to take it as right option. Increased biotoxicity means its negative connotation is there. SLN are used as drug delivery vehicles for RNA based, basically mRNA based vaccines. So some of this COVID-19 vaccine like Moderna, Pfizer, all these are using this technology already. So this is like a nanotechnology will be used in exactly the drug delivery, facilitating the intended drug delivery. And what does it mean? If you have studied the immune system, everything in the science and tech classes. So if you have a cell, even inside the cell, this mRNA should reach inside the cell. Then only it start operating. If it is not reaching at the intended location, then it becomes ineffective. It gets splitted down into other particles and it will not be effective in providing the immunity. So what this nanoparticle SLN does is, it will have mechanism to carry the drug to the exact position that is being intended. It is used in RNA vaccine technology also, but it reduces the nanotoxicity and other XYZ issues associated with new kind of vaccine technology that is coming up. Here answer is correct statement is asked, only two is the correct statement. B is the correct answer. Answer the 15th question first. क्या क्या आंसर है? A. Any other? We have actually, if you don't say no idea, pick one answer and give me. Do some kind of application and find some answer. See, we are not discussing this for simply getting the knowledge. If you want knowledge, just read the added material that you're getting out of this. Need to apply whatever knowledge you have. Consider with reference to standalone and non-standalone 5G. So what you can gain from this name itself? Standalone means it will be independent. It will be staying alone. Non-standalone means it will not be fully independent. There will be other players associated with this. Now, if this is 5G, who can be the other player? If you read the statement, you can see there is very much, and this can be 4G. 4G can be another player. In standalone mode, 5G operates parallel to existing 4G networks. Standalone mode, 5G is operating different, 4G is operating different. Parallel, there is having no connection. Non-standardized networks means there is together. In the 4G network, you are increasing the XYZ characteristics, changing the frequencies and providing 5G into this. So this non-standalone will be using the 4G infrastructure to provide 5G, while standalone will be using totally independent infrastructure. Both the statements are very much in line with the key term meaning of this. Both the statements are correct. If you want more information, you can read from this. Which one is more faster and better system? Better system is standalone, but this is costly. Dedicated network is always better. Here some point of the frequency will be allocated to 4G also. Here every frequency, only those equipments are required for 5G, operating 5G frequency XYZ. Rest of the details you can read from material also, so much details are provided. Go ahead, answer the 16th question first. Polity based question. Been discussing polity too much all the week. What answer? Tell me fast. C. Any other? The correct is asked. The first All India Annual State Ministers Conference on water was recently held. In this context, consider the following statement regarding the status of water in Indian Constitution. Status of water is asked basically. All the above data is irrelevant. Water is a concurrent subject. Under state 3, you should have some basic understanding to answer this also. We have under the 7th schedule 3 list: union list, state list and concurrent list. Union list is list 1, state list is list 2. Sometimes this name will not be given. Concurrent list is list 3. How much subjects are there in each? 100 subjects in union list, 61 subjects in state list, and 47 subjects in concurrent list you have. 52 increased. Now tell me what kind of subjects will go into union list, even if you don't know exactly. Any subjects which has national intervention, which requires collective intervention, which requires high level of uniformity throughout the nation, these kind of subjects will go into uniform list. State list. Union list. In state list, you will be having those subjects which have local importance, like public order, police, agriculture, irrigation. All these are state subject list topics. Concurrent list means subjects with shared responsibility will be there. Now, which responsibility is divided among these subjects? Executive, legislative, which responsibilities? This perfect division, like union should touch this only, state should touch this only. This is applicable only for legislative powers. Executive power center can delegate powers to states with the taking the consideration of the opinion of the president. State even can delegate some of the implementation executive powers to center also. So the exclusive division of powers is not applicable in case of executive or implementation of projects, but legislative making law process, this absolutely should be followed. Now if irrigation, agriculture, everything is coming in state list, if you remember this much, you can very easily guess that water is also a local subject which will come under state list. But there is an exception to water, that is water is a concurrent subject under list 3. That is a wrong statement. It is a state subject under list 2. Now, union government has powers to regulate and develop interstate water rivers. This is a union list subject under list 1. This is correct statement. What is answer here? B, 2 only is the correct answer. Now, if you look at the interstate river management, this is a union list subject. Center or parliament itself only has the power to make laws on interstate river management, and parliament has passed 2 law regarding this, that is interstate river dispute act of 1956 and river board act of 1956. In fact, no river board has been established under the country so far. Under the interstate river water dispute act of 1956, the government will establish tribunals for solving the water disputes between the different states. Article 262 of the constitution empowers union government to set up different tribunal relating to interstate river water. The tribunal is known as interstate river dispute tribunals. Around how much tribunals? 9 tribunals or so has been established so far under this act. Asking something? You're asking about international waters. Interstate with Pakistan, that is an international treaty. International agreements implementation, there is no need of state, is not even in the picture. It is a part of foreign affairs. Center can do whatever, whichever interfere, whichever subject for implementation of any of the international treaty. Indus treaty and all will consider like that only. Go ahead, answer the 17th question first. बताओ क्या आंसर है? See, very easy question I guess. किधर गया? We consider the following statement with respect to National Disaster Response Board. It functions under Ministry of Home Affairs. Even though there is a ministry, if you go with a preconceived mindset, you will get it wrong. Disaster management and DRF is operating under Ministry of Home Affairs itself. Why we are discussing this? Why there is current affairs related to this? Joshima land subsidence is happening, and operation those government is sending different teams under NDRF. No teams has been constituted to study under this. So all these are coordinated by Ministry of Home Affairs. So this was in news regarding this. It has been constituted under the Disaster Management Act of 2005. One more information, this is also correct, National Disaster Management Act of 2005. This is a statutory body under this act. One more information I need to add here is, in the last question we have 7 schedule separation in state, union and concurrent list. Now disaster management come in under which list? This was in news during the time of pandemic. Who has exclusive powers? Who has the powers in disaster management? Union list. Center. Actually, if you look at all the entries in union, state, if you look at the 3 lists, union list, state list and concurrent list, disaster management is nowhere in any of the list. There is no specific entry that is dedicated to disaster management. There is entry in union list called social security. So it is under social security, government, union government is invoking its powers for acting in this case of pandemic or any disaster management that disaster is happening in the country. Exact entry, there is no exact entry in the whole 7 schedule for disaster management. Answer the 18th question first. हो गया? बताओ क्या आंसर है? डी, सी. Now we have two census. One is general census or decennial census. Now what is general census? You should learn everything about this. Why? Because usually it happen every 10 years. But due to pandemic, government is constantly delaying or extending the deadline for this. At least till 2024, we will not have any general census data. Which XYZ ministry is doing this? Ministry of Home Affairs, Department of this Registrar Commission and all, which is acting under Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, what exact data they collect? What exact data they collect? Demographic data. That is your age, your sex, your personal kind of data will be collecting under this. Individual data you can or say individual count based census, individual data will be collected under this. Now we have a totally different mechanism, that is socio-economic caste census. Why there is a need for a socio-economic caste census when we have this very great census that is being happening every 10 years? What is the need for a caste census? What was one of the major debate was going on regarding this? Should caste be included in this or not? Should we include caste information under this or not? And what was the objective? Why caste information should be a part of census? What was the rationale for demanding that? We have this OBC reservation 27%, but this 27%, actually there is no factual data to why this 27%, and out of this 27% who is getting the benefits? Creamy layer is getting the benefits, or which there is subdivision of caste. All this there is lack of data regarding this OBC reservation. So we need caste census, caste data for that. That was the objective. But government was showing caste is a very subjective data. It is not easy to collect different caste, and caste will have heterogeneous characteristics. One caste may be in OBC in the Rajasthan, but Jat community, if you see Jat communities in Rajasthan, they are OBC, but in Haryana they are not OBC. In many other states they may not be OBC. So there is this differentiation within the caste and region also. So due to so much of difficulties, already the census is getting delayed. Government say that caste should not be a part of this. So socio-economic caste census means it will collect household data. It is household data means there will be caste, there will be income, there will be asset. This data we use basically for getting the information on how the country is progressing, how the sex ratio, basic demographics of the country is changing, how population is increasing, decreasing, which state is having a higher population, which religion is having higher population growth. All these we use this data. But here this data is specifically used for targeting of different implementation, targeting of different policies. So we have this socio-economic caste census. This is done every 10 years. This is not done every 10 years. This is done depending on government requirement. Latest, which ministry is doing this? Ministry of Rural Development is undertaking the socio-economic caste census. Latest data we have is 2011 data. Now come to this much of things you should know. For caste general census, you should know more about it because this has been in news throughout the year. Go and read from all the documents, all the government sources where there is information on our decennial status. It is the first, we are talking about socio-economic caste census of 2011. It is the first paperless census in India conducted on handheld electronic devices. I am confused. Suppose I don't know this too much. Paperless, it is saying if it is a recent survey, I might have easily corrected it, but 2011, I am more confused whether there is paperless or this thing at that time. Like decennial census, it was based on individuals. We have told that decennial census is based on individuals. Socio-economic caste census is based on households. It is not based on individuals. Second statement is wrong. We already only left with one option, that is 1 and 3 only. It uses parameters laid down by HR Hashim committee. If you look at this statement, remembering this committee is a Herculean task. HR hashing committee is not such a committee which you usually see every time. So, but how you will see this kind of question in UPSC also. You are not expected to remember the XYZ committee or the XYZ specific information regarding everything regarding different census. But you are expected to know the basic features of whichever census is in use. It is not an individual based census, it is a household based census. This much of information you should be clear about. If you know this information, all other options get eliminated, you will get the correct answer. So even if you're getting very specific data, very keen informations in many questions, don't be too much confused. There will be some option, there's some clue in that. If you at least know this much, you can eliminate at least 2 options. In this question, we eliminated all the options. We are left with only C, 1 and 3. Go ahead, answer the 19th question first. Tell me, what is the answer? Recently, Lokur committee was in news. It is set up to give recommendation on matters related to. Lokur committee is in news because, what is the news? Anyone remembering? There has been criticism against government categorization of STs. Criticism was that whatever the criteria Lokur committee has set, this criteria it has set years back, it is still being used without much objective changes. We don't know any objective criteria. If this criteria is met, then that caste will be included under scheduled caste. We still doesn't have any such objective information. What information we have is depending on socio-economic position of it, depending on historical, geographical position of this, distinct language if they are using, presence of core culture related to lifestyle, continuation of endogamy in case of marital statuses. All these are the different factors that is being, all these are subjective factors. There is no objective defined criteria for identification of scheduled tribes. So that's why this was in news, and this committee is associated with definition of scheduled tribes. Now how this who scheduled tribes, what is constitutional provisions are related to this? Constitution say that whichever tribes that is listed under Article 342 of the Constitution will be considered as scheduled tribes. Now, which tribes, who has the power to include or exclude a tribe under this as scheduled tribe? The power is with President. President in consultation with state government will put a new tribe under the scheduled tribe if it is meeting XYZ demands put up or criteria put up by the government, then it is put under this Article 342. There has been recent development in categorization of OBCs. What was the issue? Constitutional status was granted to National Commission for Backward Classes. Now when constitutional position was granted, but a part of the law was the power to include a caste under OBC lies with central government. Now this has been taken to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court and central government also in the court has clarified that the power to give a OBC give a caste OBC status in respect to a different state will be with state only. Now regarding OBC, state will keep a state list of its own, and central can also keep a list of OBC that will be applicable in reservation to central institutions or central education jobs and all this. So there will be 2 lists for OBCs right now. Go ahead, answer the 21st question first. Okay, 20th question. Why we are discussing this? News? What news? NIA ED is being used against state governments. That is how is UAPA coming into picture? That is in 2019, not for this attempt. Tell me recent news associated with this. That is there. UAPA, it is against this journalists are also charged under UAPA Act. Main issue is Popular Front of India PF5 was banned recently. It was banned under UAPA Act. With reference to UAPA 1967, consider the following statement. National Investigation Agency was constituted in 2008 under this act. NIA Act is not under UAPA. Year 2028 is correct. This was formed. What is the relevance of this? It was constituted after the Mumbai terror attack. So 2008 is exactly correct information, but NIA we have different act associated with NIA. It is not under UAPA Act. Only Indians can be charged under this act. You might have remember. We have know that in 2019 amendment, what we have done this? Not foreigners. Earlier, only organizations can be termed as terrorist organization. There was no way to call an individual, designate an individual as terrorist. So after the 2009 amendment, even individuals can be designated as terrorists. So all these Pakistan-based terrorists, what was his name? Masood Azhar and all, we were categorizing him as terrorist. He is a foreign nationals. So this is most likely a correct statement. It has death penalty as the highest punishment. All this very much correct statement. Answer here is B, 2 and 3. Which is the correct answer? It is only Indian nationals is not correct. Foreign nationals are also can be tried under this. C will be the correct answer, 3 only. Answer the 21st question. Tell me what is answer? D. क्या नाम है? क्या आंसर है? B. D. So why we are discussing this? What was the recent development associated with this? There has been a plea in Supreme Court that charge sheet should be openly documented or put in the open website. And what Supreme Court said? Charge sheet cannot be put openly because it will be a violation of right to privacy of these culprits as well as other victims and all this. So charge sheet is a document which cannot be or shall not be put under the public domain. So this was the recent verdict by the Supreme Court. FIR and charge sheet, what is the difference? Suppose something offense happened and police, you go to police and reported the offense. First thing police should do is filing the FIR. And what is the legal Supreme Court legal mandate? If an offense is happened, it is reported to police within 24 hours. FIRs has to be filed and uploaded in the XYZ portal within 24 hours. Exception is there for rape cases or sensitive cases. Some exceptions are provided. For all other offenses, 24 hours is the case for first investigation report or FIR. Charge sheet is what? If some offense happened, then the investigation will go on for months or maybe years. After maybe 6 months of investigation, the government will submit a report to the court. Charge sheet is submitted to court, and in this charge sheet, the government will list down all what all it contains, who committed the XYZ crimes, who are the criminals, and what kind of crime has been done, and what kind of charges has to be imposed, what kind of, who are the witnesses. All this information will be collectively listed down, and this document is called charge sheet. This much basic story you should know. Now come to answer this question. Charge sheet is a written document prepared by the police when they receive the information about the commission of a cognizable offense. First information report is a formal police record showing the names of each person brought into custody. This interchange. So this is FIR and this is charge sheet. So answer here is correct statement is asked. Neither 1 or 2 is correct. D is the correct answer. Answer the 22nd question first. Sorry. A tough question. Why this tough question? Everything is factual. If you have, we have gone through a basic rule that if there is one fact in the statements, there is high chance this can be a wrong statement. Only high chance. There are some facts which are correct also. In this infrastructure investment bank question we have seen. But if there is a 2 facts in the statements or more than 2 facts, there is high chance that either of the statement is, either of the fact is correct. Either one of the fact is correct, other fact is wrong. Mostly this kind of pattern is being followed. So keep in mind this. May not be applicable in upcoming year, but still you should be at least aware of these things. So in this question we have all 3 facts, and the options are also 1, 2, 1 only, 2 only, and 3 only. So even if I don't know something, I am most probable is something out of this. That is my most wild guess if I need to take a guess on this question. Rest, under the provisions of Companies Act 2013, which of the following companies is or are required to spend a minimum of 2% of their net profit over the preceding 3 years of corporate social responsibility? Company having net worth of 500 crore, or company having net profit of 2 crore, or company having a turnover of 100 crore. Now here, what is one guess you can make? It's very difficult to make any guess. One guess is net turnover of company will be always greater than mostly net worth. If you compare net worth and net turnover, mostly net turnover should be very high. So if 500 crore worth company has to give this XYZ CSR, this cannot be 100 crore. This may be 1000 crore. This may be 2000 crore. It should be much greater than this. If you look at the company's net worth will be not that much high, but turnover will be a much bigger number. That one guess you can make. So 1 and 3 together cannot came. Again, you can only eliminate D. Either of these will be correct answer. Here answer is 1 only. This is correct statement. A company having net worth. Secondly, a company having rupees turnover of 1000 crore has to pay the corporate social responsibility, or having a profit of 5 crore, not 2 crore. So numbers are 500 crore of net worth or 1000 crore of turnover and 5 crore of profit. If these 3 conditions, either of these conditions are met, then they have to pay the XYZ CSR responsibility. Answer the 23rd question first. Consider the following. 3 organizations are given. Which of the above is identified as domestic systematically important insurers? So DIS, everywhere it is coming. For banks it came, then NBFCs, now insurers it is coming. Who will be identifying them? For insurers it will be IRDA. Now for banks it will be RBI, for NBFCs it will be RBI itself. Now what is the correct answer of this? How to identify? Here if you look at the 3 organizations, only Max Life Insurance is a completely private group. All other have some of the government started statutorily, then started privatization, this kind of organization is it. So most probably Max Life will not be in your answer. You can eliminate 2. Correct answer is C. 3 insurers, 3 group are like Life Insurance Corporation, General Insurance Corporation, and New India Assurance Corporation. All these are a part of domestically systematically important insurers. Now if an organization is considered as domestically important insurers, what XYZ criteria come on this? Or if a bank is put under domestically systematically important banks, what exactly does it mean from perspective of regulation? There will be more stringent criteria. There will be closer regulation of these organizations. There will be more higher standards, that is for banks we were discussing all this RAR, critically weighted risk average, all these numbers will be set higher for these XYZ institutions. Answer the 24th question first. What is the answer? Okay, answer? Every one of you are making too much of mistake today. क्या आंसर है बताओ, एक नंबर बताओ. हो गया? D. Consider the following with reference to Swiss challenge method of PPP partnership. What exactly is Swiss challenge method? Basic idea is usually if a road is to be constructed, government will identify whether the road has to be constructed. Who identify this? Government. Now government will design the XYZ criteria, this kind of road will be good for this land. Then government will call tenders, or the government will associate with some developers in this PPP model. PPP model means some part of the funding will be raised by the government, some part of the funding will be raised by the private organization. Sometimes designing will be also part of this collaboration. Now in Swiss challenge method, this is normal method. In Swiss challenge method, what happens is proposal of the project come from private. Private will identify a road here is very good for the economy, and private will propose this, make this proposal to the government. Now after doing some preliminary study, government will say this road has to be constructed. Now when this, then there will be open tender for this. Now in case of open tenders, the organization which identify the road, they have right to refusal. That means they can say that we identified but we don't want to now to do this project. It is not mandatory, this organization will be forced to take over it. Or there will be a, what is the name? Counter match. Like if a road, this road has to be constructed for 1000 crores. Now this first identified organization will be given an offer. If they can construct this road for this much amount or lower, they can take the project, even though they might not be the most competitive bid in the auctioning. So these two rights will be given to the XYZ organization which identify these Swiss model projects. Now Vijay, first I look at the first two statements. Private investors can submit the proposal for infrastructure development without any initiation from the government. This is the basic definition of Swiss challenge method. Absolutely correct statement. Initial proponent has the right to refusal and countermatch any superior offers given by the third party. Absolutely correct statement. This is what we have discussed right now. Which one you're asking? So what? Problem here क्या है? Higher किधर लिखा है? Superior. Superior means better quality offers, not like higher amount. Superior is not, doesn't mean 100 is, there is not that quantitative means. Vijay Kelkar panel has recommended this model for future PPP projects. This is not right statement. This is factual information which you should know. Vijay Kelkar committee voted or recommended against using the Swiss challenge method. Why they have voted against the Swiss challenge method? Because what happens is there may be 2-3 developers. What this developer does is you go and take all the projects in Mumbai, you go and make all the projects in Delhi, and you maybe take all the projects in Lucknow. They may have collusive agreements between them. Now they will propose a project in one city, and if no other good tenders are coming, they will anyway get the tender of that project. So this collusive to coming together of the private groupings, this has been raised by the Vijay Kelkar committee, and they recommended against the popularization of Swiss challenge method. So answer here is 1 and 2 only is the correct statement. A is the right answer. Answer the 25th question very fast. बताओ क्या आंसर है? But this we discussed too much. Answer you are saying is B. Consider the following statement regarding national logistic policy. It aims to lower the cost of logistics from 10% of the GDP to less than 5% by 2050. Few things you can notify is there is too much facts. Overloading of facts means it is high chance it is low. It is going to be wrong. Second, the target year given is 2050. We have a net zero target in 2070. Rest of apart from that, all other targets we have something like 2025, 26, 30. All our targets are based on these years. So 2050 for a logistics project means that is too much of exaggeration. You cannot even assume what will be our logistic then changes that is going to happen in the next 3-4 decades. So this is wrong statement. India aims to be in the top 25 countries in the logistic performance index by 2030. This is correct statement. Even though it has so much of facts, I already told you if there is 2-3 statement with fact, then there is high chance either of this fact is correct. One fact may be wrong, one fact may be correct. So here answer is B, 2 only. Go ahead, 26th question. What all concept application you can do in this question? Consider the following statement with reference to Global Manufacturing Risk Index 2021. This index was released by World Bank. So what all you can think? World Bank, what is the objective of World Bank? I already told when we discussing the Asian Development Bank. Objective is economic development. Objective is poverty reduction. Objective is welfareism objective. These are the objectives of World Bank. And whichever the list or whichever the reports World Bank is coming up with, there is high chance it will have some of these objectives will be met. So in this means global manufacturing risk index. Now manufacturing is there, risk analysis is also being there. Risk analysis is hardly a very technical thing, it is technical report it is. This may not be done by the World Bank. One objective is not matching, now risk index is there, so it will be a highly technical report. It will not be a simple survey of whatever numbers which country is performing. It will not be like this. Risk index which have economic technicality associated with this. The ranking assess relative attractiveness of countries as locations of production. Manufacturing index it is, so very much in line with the second statement. Here answer is 2 only. This index is being released by, what is its name? US based property consultant Cushman and Wakefield. Property consultant grouping is bringing out this report, not World Bank. Now these are the different reports released by the World Bank. World Development Report, Property and Shared Prosperity Report, Investment and Climate Assessment, Ease of Doing Business Report, Global Economic Prospects. So all these reports you can see the objective of World Bank being reflected. Answer the 27th question first. Tell me what is the, there is one other way of thinking is World Bank report, similarly IMF report, these are famous organizations. We already told that these organizations go through their original website, whichever reports they are launching you have to study this. So if World Bank is a part of releasing this report, you might have already read it in your XYZ preparation. Should have this confidence. I haven't heard this report before. That means the famous guy World Bank or IMF is not releasing this report. At least somebody else may be releasing the report, which I don't know. Have this much of confidence in your preparation, that you should have. World Manufacturing Production Report, IMF. What IMF does? IMF does BOP crisis. It is associated with BOP crisis, economic risk. These all things IMF is doing. So this is a manufacturing production. This is not too much of related to IFF. Here we have World Bank. World Bank is also not too much associated with this. Now we are left with WTO and United Nations Industrial Development Organization. This exact report is released by United Nations Industrial Development Organization. B is the correct option. Rest details you can read from the material. I am not discussing too much of this. Now answer the 28th question first. This question has some controversies associated with this. What is the answer? Tell me. Not correct is asked. What is answer? Answer is C. Both the statements are incorrect. D'Oliveira provides evidences for burial of females and males together. Actually, D'Oliveira is famous for water dams are there, water canals systems were developed along these places. Now these burials of males and females together, this is being excavated from Rakhi Gari as well as recent excavations from Lothal. So these two places have these evidences, not D'Oliveira. Most common burial method is placing body with head towards the east. There has been east-west direction में body bury करना was one of the most prominent practice, one of the practices, but it is not like most common burial method. Most common burial method में ऐसे कुछ नहीं बोल सकता. We have some at some places these evidences have been excavated, but we cannot say that this was the most common burial practices method of Indus Valley civilization. Both these options are incorrect. Answer here is C. Answer the 29th question first. What is the answer? A very factual question. C. Correct answer है. Which of the following statement correct about Sagol Kanjai, which was sometimes in news recently? What is the first statement? It is a festival indigenous to Assam celebrating harvest. Harvest festival of Assam is called Bihu. Now it is a famous equine breed of India from Manipur. This is called, there is such a breed of equine. Equine means something like a horse. So this breed is called Manipuri pony. This again not the whatever it is. The third statement is correct. It is a sport indigenous to Manipur similar to modern polo, that is Sangol Kangchai. Why we are discussing this? Because recently a huge stadium was inaugurated in Manipur, that is a Sangol Kangchai stadium. Now it is a famous traditional dance form of Assam. It is not a traditional dance form of Assam. Traditional dance form of Assam is Bihu dance. Bihu dance is done by both men and women in traditional dresses by wearing Assam traditional dresses. And so answer here is C. Go ahead, answer the last question of the day. क्या आंसर है? C. What is the question? The Archaeological Survey of India will begin excavation at Delhi's Purana Kula to trace painted graveware 1600 to 1000 BCE, commonly known as Mahabharata period. The Purana Kula at Delhi was built by, answer is Humayun. Very factual question. But since this development is going on, what else you should read about? Two things you should read very clearly. One is whatever is Humayun's constructions. Why Humayun is too much important is he had a very less time to build so much. So he built only a very few number of monuments. Humayun's tomb, Dinphana Citadel, Purana Kila and Nila Gumbad. These are Agra Fort also started some construction by Humayun. So these are only few of the archaeological monuments that has been built by Humayun. Secondly, you should at least have a fair idea of what are the different potteries in different ages. So this is one question that is quite important because of this development, as well as pottery is very distinct in Indian history. Yet there has not been much question from this area in the recent past. There is no PYQs from potteries. So this can be a potential area for this year. Early Harappan pottery, mature, what is characteristics of this? This will be like crude pottery, not fully developed, not full shape is not developed. Mature Harappan pottery will be highly advanced pottery. These people know how to carve all these different intricacy shape on this. Painted graveware, it is during the Vedic period, post Harappan period or Mahabharata period, you call it, whatever period, that painted graveware pottery. Now northern black polished graveware pottery means after with advancement of year, this pottery is becoming more refined. It is becoming more smooth. You are bringing the black color by making it more smooth. Now redware pottery, that is a modern pottery, not modern but till 200 AD or Gupta period, early Gupta period, you can call it as a redware pottery. So this chronology as well as different associated with what kind of year and what kind of kingdoms is associated with this you should have a basic understanding for this year prelims. So that's all The class got a little lengthy today, but still you completed the 30 questions. All the best. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the class.